Money is a very important part of prosperity because money allows you to have freedom. All you care about is what's going to happen next month. If that is you, I don't care if you're male or female, you have the spirit of Esau on you and you're going to be broke the rest of your life. And it's your fault because your mindset is about surviving and not thriving. Every decision you make, ask yourself a simple question. Is this going to bless me 5 years from now? Is this going to bless me 10 years from now? We're talking about $1 million hour. Years ago, my wife and I were broke. We go to church and we're trying to figure out life. I just got done playing professional basketball, didn't have a lot of money coming in, and our church had a guest pastor come in. And I'm talking about broke. I don't know if you guys have ever been broke, but let me explain what broke is. Broke sounds like this. You owe somebody some money and you know that you owe them some money. And they call you and you see their phone hit your number and you say to yourself, oh, shoot, I don't even want to answer this phone because I owe him some money. I owe her some money. And you'll answer the phone because you don't want to be disrespectful. You say, you know what? I got you Friday. I got you Friday. I get paid Friday. I got you Friday. That's broke, which means you're living day to day, check to check. That is broke. Broke is different. Broke sounds like this. Somebody hit your phone. You're afraid to answer because you have no clue when you can pay them back. That is broke. So my wife and I have been broke. We have been broke. And it's one day at church, I'm sitting there, and thank God our church had a guest pastor. His name was Mensa Olduville from Ghana. And he has a book called Buy the Future. And I sat there and listened to that message, and it changed my life. And it really taught me that my financial situation was my fault. It really taught me my financial situation was based on how I was thinking. Let me be clear. Your financial situation is your fault. So if you're a millionaire, it's your fault. If you are broke, it is your fault. I want you to understand that mentally you need to be empowered because as a man thinks, so is he, which basically says if you are broke right now, you think like a broke person. So right now, when I think about millionaires, when I think about $1 million hours, it's all about people changing their mindset. And that one day I heard this message was transformational for me. So I want to thank you, Mensa Olduville. I don't know where you are in the world, but you were transformational for me. I don't know if you touched any other spirit in that sanctuary that day, but you changed my life because your message was about buying the future. By listening to your message and buying your book, Buy the Future, I bought the future. That message was about 20 years ago, and now I'm a multimillionaire strictly because I changed my mindset. So now I'm on a mission. It's not about me being successful anymore. I want to be significant because I want to teach you how to buy your future. Let's be clear. I'm a man of God. And let's go to the Bible. The Bible says the Lord delights in the prosperity of his servant. Think about that message. The Lord delights in the prosperity of his servant. The first thing we have to get settled in your mind that God is happy when you prosper. A lot of people think when you become a believer that you have to have this pledge of being broke. You have this pledge of going around living day to day, check to check. That's not a pledge to God. God delights in the prosperity of his servant. Let me tell you something. You know why people followed Abraham? Because they saw he was blessed. They saw Abraham because they knew he was blessed. This man is so blessed. We got to listen to him. He got to know God. I know believers that walk around this earth saying they're blessed, but they're broke. I'm not saying you're not blessed physically. I'm not saying you're not blessed with your emotions, but today we're talking about money. There's a lot of ways to prosper. So I don't want to make prosperity all about money, but let's be clear. Money is a very important part of prosperity because money allows you to have freedom. Who wouldn't want to have freedom? I know I meet people all the time and say, man, I would love to travel the world. Well, why don't you? You don't have freedom. Man, I would love to have my own boat. Why don't you? You don't have freedom. Man, I would love to golf 2-3 times a week. Why don't you? You don't have freedom. So money gives us an opportunity to express ourselves through our lives based on who we really are. And if you don't have freedom, you look at your friends and say, man, I got to go to work. Man, I would love to go, but I got to go to work. Man, I would love to come. Let me see if I can get off work. Imagine that. You have no freedom. You would love to go on this trip, but you can't afford it. You would love to go on a trip, but you got to work. That is not what God intended for you, because God wants you to be prosperous because he can be happy and delight in your prosperity. For the first part of the mindset we got to get right is that God wants you to be prosperous. And if we can get that clear, that God wants you to be prosperous, the rest is easy. Now let me finish that statement. The Lord delights in the prosperity of his servant. I could take 40 minutes breaking it down. Now, I didn't come here to talk about that, but I just wanted to lay a foundation that the Lord wants you to prosper, and he delights in the prosperity of his servant. So today I want you to prosper, and today I came to serve you. Is that fair? So let's talk about this. If the Lord delights in the prosperity of his servant, if you're not prospering, something's off. If you're not prospering, something's wrong. So let's take a deeper look into prosperity, because the Bible also says, as a man thinks, so is he. So let's put those two scriptures together. The Lord delights in the prosperity of his servant, and as a man thinks, so is he. Which basically means if you want to be wealthy, you got to think different. If you want to be wealthy, you have to think different. If you want to be wealthy, you have to think different. Now, here's the thing about the mindset. You guys know that the average person has 70,000 thoughts a day. 70,000 thoughts a day. Let's think about that for a moment. If you have 70,000 thoughts a day, you got a lot of things going through your head. You guys hear what I'm saying? And unfortunately, some of us live day to day. If you live in day to day, you know what the thoughts are going to your head? Day-to-day thoughts. You're thinking about your rent. You're thinking about your mortgage. You're thinking about dinner. You're not thinking about next year. You're not even thinking about next month. You're saying to yourself, man, how can I get my rent paid in May? How can I hit that car note in May? How can I make sure that I can hit all and pay all my bills in May? I got to make that credit card payment in May. I got a big school tuition due in May. You can't think about your future. Why? Because you're worried about May. So if you live day to day, check to check, that takes a lot of energy. You guys know what I'm talking about. You can wear yourself out trying to figure out how to get through the month. That's what poor people do. Their mind and their thoughts are consumed with surviving day to day, check to check. And that's where I was when I sat there in that congregation and I listened to Mr. Odebill talk about buy the future. And all of a sudden I ran to the back of the room when church was over and I spent $20 on the book. I spent $20 on a book called Buy the Future, and it changed my life. Most of you guys sitting at home, you have a library full of books you never read. You have a library full of books that can change your life, and you never read it. There's an old saying, if you ever want to hide anything from a fool, put it in the book. I can come to your house right now and put $1 million in the book, and you'll never find it. Why? Because if a person doesn't read, they can never get access to the clues. So let me think about it. You'd rather go spend $20 at a pizza joint, but if someone asks you to buy a $20 book that can change your life, you're like, nah, I'm good. Nah, I'd rather get some pizza. I'd rather get some chicken wings. I'm from Chicago. I'd rather go to Harold's Chicken and get me a 3-piece mile and some Garrett's popcorn rather than go get a book that can change my life. I was broke. Let me tell you something. I was so broke, I couldn't even pay attention. You guys heard that joke. I was so broke that credit card companies were calling us, Visa, American Express, MasterCard, calling us, harassing us, and I would have fun with them. I was like, what you gonna do, bro? I don't have it. What you gonna do, Visa? What you gonna do, American Express? I am broke. I don't have the money. And some days I had a good attitude, some days I didn't. Some days I laughed with them, and sometimes I was frustrated because it sucked being broke. But that one day I took $20 and bought a book called Buy the Future, and it changed my life. Let me be clear. Money is a currency that is meant to flow. Money is a currency that is meant to flow. Money is a currency that is meant to flow. The biggest reason why you're broke is you think God want to get money to you. God does not want to get money to you. God wants to get money through you. You're too cheap. You're like a dam. As soon as you get some money, you hoard it. And that's why can't get your money, because you're not allowing God to flow through you. If money is a currency and it's meant to flow, God got to trust you that you'll let the money flow through him and through him so he can bless other people. So if you're stingy, you will never prosper. I've been around millionaires, multimillionaires. The neighborhood I live in has 6 billionaires. Let's be clear. They are all prospering because they are philanthropists. I went to dinner with the multi-billionaire, and he was the owner of an NHL hockey team. We're sitting there having lunch, and at the time, I had 3 kids in college. And I was so proud of myself, because we're paying for our 3 kids to go to college. I'm having dinner with this man, and he taught us that he was sending 200 kids to college. He had a nonprofit organization, and he was sending 200 kids to college. And guess what? They weren't his kids. I was bragging about me sending my kids to college, 3. And this man was sending 200 strangers to college. And he's a multi-billionaire on the NHL hockey team. God is not trying to get money to you. He's trying to get money through you. So we understand how currency works. Currency is meant to flow. The $20 I spent was transferred to Mensa Oldaville. But in exchange for $20, the book was transformational because it was called Buy the Future. And I learned through this book, I was broke because every decision I made was based on now. And I never made decisions based on the future. Now, I'm going to break the book down in a moment, but I want you to understand, if every decision you're making about money right now is based on today's economy, you're going to always be broke. But if you are willing to make some sacrifices and invest money based on where you want to be 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, it will be transformational. And the biggest thing I learned about that book is how to spend money. First of all, it's a currency. We already broke that down. But second of all, if you have a vision of where you want to be in 5 years, don't you ever spend a dime that won't position you to where you want to be in 5 years. And I made a simple sacrifice. Before I spent any money based on the book Buy the Future, I would ask myself the question, is this going to bless me 5 years from now? Is this going to bless me 10 years from now? If the answer was no, I didn't spend the money. But if the answer was yes, I spent the money because I know I was positioning myself for the future. Let me break down the book. Buy the Future was about an exchange between 2 brothers. It was a 2 brothers called Jacob and Esau. They came from the same house. They had the same parents, but they thought totally different. You might have a sibling that thinks totally different from you. You might be a mom with 2 kids and they're totally different. That's normal. Jacob and Esau were 2 brothers, same mom and dad, but they were totally different based on their mentality and how they thought. So one day Esau goes out hunting. He was hunting in the moment because he wanted to kill something in the moment, come home and cook it right away, which means he did not plan. The Bible says a wise man plans. Esau was trying to live day to day. And this one day he goes hunting and he didn't make a kill. So he came back hungry, which means he had nothing planned, nothing saved. If he was a hunter, he killed something in the past, but he had no strategy for the future. Esau was living day to day, check to check. Let me be clear, there's still an Esau out there. In fact, Esau, you might be listening to me right now because you know that I'm telling you the truth, that you've been living day to day, check to check. All you care about is what's going to happen next month. If that is you, I don't care if you're male or female, you have the spirit of Esau on you and you're going to be broke the rest of your life. And it's your fault because your mindset is about surviving and not thriving. Surviving and not thriving. Let me be clear. God gave us a mindset that we're either going to use our mindset to survive or we're going to use our mindset to thrive. I can prove it to you. Go home and look at your thermostat. Wherever your thermostat is set right now, your heating and cooling system is going to be regulated by what? Your thermostat. Some of y'all like it cold. This on 68 degrees. I promise you, you can go out of town. When you come back in town, where's your temperature going to be set in your apartment, in your house? 68 degrees. Guess who set the thermostat? You. That's how you like it. You like it 68 degrees. You come to my house, my thermostat in our house is set on 75. You can talk about us, you can criticize us, but guess what? This is my house. Me and my wife pay the bills. We've made a decision that our thermostat's going to be on 75 degrees. And so if you come into my house right now, I'm not even home, but if you walk into my home, I promise you that thermostat's going to be at 75. You can talk about me if you want to, but that thermostat's going to be regulated based on where I set it. So I don't care if you like it cold. I don't care if you like it hot. Wherever you live, you set your thermostat where you're comfortable. Do you hear what I'm saying? Your mindset is the same exact way. Your mindset is regulating your relationships. Your mindset is regulating your faith. Your mindset is regulating your blessings. Your mindset is regulating everything. Here's what I'm going to tell you right now. Write this down. If you want to be a millionaire, you got to have a millionaire mindset. And after I went to church that day and heard from Mensa Oldfield, stand up Ghana, you should be proud of him, man. Stand up Ghana. I want to come to Ghana one day. Stand up Ghana. Be proud of Mr. Oldfield, because all the way in Minneapolis, Minnesota for $20. Mr. Oldfield changed my life, and I read the book By the Future. So Esau goes hunting. He comes back and doesn't make a kill. And so Esau was hungry. He was starving. He was emotional. He was famished. The old saying is never go to a grocery store hungry. Why? Because if you go to a grocery store hungry, you're going to buy way more food than you wanted to buy. Why? Because psychologically, you are starving. So as a result, you go to the grocery store and spend all your money. I've been told that you should go eat a big meal and then go to the grocery store. Because psychologically, since you're not starving, you're only going to buy exactly what you need. So Esau comes home, and he's the oldest. Tuck that away. Back in biblical times, the oldest son got all the blessings. The oldest son was the legacy child. Everything went to the oldest. I'm the baby in my family. Man, let me tell you something. I understand how that works. Sometimes they don't even tell the baby what's happening. Sometimes they don't even tell the baby what's going on. Sometimes the baby has no clue around family secrets. Why? Because you're the youngest. But the oldest know everything. The oldest know where the money is. The oldest knows where the secrets are. The oldest is in a different position because that's typically where the legacy is passed to the oldest. So Esau was the oldest child, but he did not value being the oldest. Jacob, his brother, was strategic. Jacob, his brother, was a planner. Jacob, his brother, was in the kitchen cooking, which means he was a mama's boy. I don't want to break that down, but Jacob was a mama's boy in the kitchen cooking. Don't you criticize him, because I love to cook, boy. I can get some barbecue, some brisket. You come to my house, we're going to eat good. So don't look at me like that. But Jacob was a mama's boy, and I'm a mama's boy. It's all good. And he was cooking. And his brother came in there hungry and said, hey, man, can I have some stew? And Jacob began to negotiate. He says, okay, I got some stew, and I see you're desperate. I got some stew, I see you're hungry. In other words, I got some money and you need what I got. See, banks loan us money because they see you hungry and you need what a bank has. And you can't go in there robbing the bank, and it won't work. You're going to go stick them up. That's silly, because you ain't going to get much money anyway. And before you get around the corner, they're going to arrest your butt. But some people have the wise idea that I'm going to go rob a bank. Man, this ain't Robin Hood. This ain't the long range of days. That stuff don't work. But the banks understand that people need money. Private investment banks understand people need money. If you're going to run a business, guess what? You need some money. And the worst thing you can do is need some money when you're desperate. Probably, if you are desperate, the last thing you need is some money. Because when you're desperate and you go get some money, you're going to sign some bad deals. You're going to have some incredible interest rates. You're going to put yourself in a bad space if you go looking for money and you're desperate. Don't you stop being thirsty. Thirsty people make bad decisions. Thirsty people make mistakes. Esau came in from hunting since he was not a planner. Since he was living day to day. He had no strategy. And Jacob negotiated Esau out of his future. He says, I'll give you a bowl of stew for your birthright. And Esau says, well, what good is my birthright if I'm going to die? One, Esau didn't respect his birthright. And Esau had no vision for the future. He was living day to day. He was living check to check. As I read that book called By the Future by Mensa Oldfield, instantly I realized I'm broke because I think like Esau. Now I ain't going to get in your business. I'm not going to get in your Kool-Aid. I'm talking about me. That book was transformational before I finished reading the book, because I recognized that I'm broke because I'm thinking like Esau, day to day, check to check, no plan for the future. And Jacob negotiated with Esau and simply said, in exchange for a bowl of stew, give me your birthright. Now, let me break that down a little further. Jacob was willing to be uncomfortable for a little bit. Now we eat, how soon do you get hungry after you eat? About 4 hours later. Think about that. Esau was so famished, he couldn't wait 4 hours. I'm sure mama was coming home, dad was coming home. He can go over his girlfriend's house. He can go around the corner to his cousin's house. He can hop on a camel and ride through the desert and go catch her. He could have done something because 4 hours later, you're going to be hungry again. So it was silly of Esau to negotiate away his birthright that would bless him the rest of his life for 4 hours of satisfaction. But that's what day-to-day does. We go and make bad decisions for temporary solutions that puts us in a worse position than where we were. So Esau said, sure, what good is my birthright if I'm going to die of hunger anyway? So in exchange for a bowl of stew, Esau gave up his birthright. And Jacob sacrificed one meal to change his life. So it's okay to be broke, but it's not okay to be poor. It's okay to be broke, but it's not okay to be poor. Let me explain the difference. Poor is a current, and it's a condition that you don't even see your way out of. We meet poor people all the time. In fact, Jesus said there's always going to be poor amongst you because he understands everybody don't have the right mindset. He says, I came so you can have life and life more abundantly, but I understand a lot of people are not going to abide in me and I'm not going to abide in them. So as a result, they're going to be poor because they won't allow me to influence their mindset. Let me tell you something, Jesus, come and influence my mindset. It happened that day. Jason, Mr. Odell with one book. One message changed my mindset because I want to be transformed because no one will pour new wine into an old wineskin. Give me some new wine, God. Give me some new wine, God. I sat there that day and for $20 of currency, I was put in a position to be transformed. And let me tell you something. I repented for being Esau. And I realized I got to start thinking like Jacob because Esau is getting me what I get. Esau had Visa calling me every day. Esau's spirit on me had me listening to creditors, and I was broke. But the moment I finished that book, I was transformed into Jacob, and I started making every decision based on the future. And we all know time flies. You guys know what I'm talking about. Man, time flies. This year is already a quarter over. And let me tell you something. If you start making good decisions right now, based on where you want to be in 5 years, based you want to be in 10 years, it's a matter of time before your life changes. And here's what we did. We understood that money was currency. And my wife and I began to use money differently. We began to see money as a seed. So we began to tithe. We began to give offering, and we began to make investments of things that are going to appreciate into the future. So if you have no assets, you're going to always be broke. If you don't own a home, you're going to always be broke. If you don't have your own business, you're going to always be broke because if you have a job, all you're doing is exchanging your time for money. There's only a limited amount of time. And if you exchange your time for money, that's all you're going to get. And you're never going to be able to truly prosper because you're not giving God an opportunity to prosper you. So my wife and I launched our own business. We opened up the heavens and said, God, we're going to be good stewards of our money. We're going to make great decisions about our future. And we believe that we can buy our future by simply changing our mindset. I'm going to talk to you right now. Don't you look at me like this. I came to change your life. From henceforth, every decision you make, ask yourself a simple question. Is this going to bless me 5 years from now? Is this going to bless me 10 years from now? Here's how it plays out. Your favorite comedian is coming to town. I don't care if it's Dave Chappelle. I don't care. What's the little short guy's name? Kevin Hart. Don't disrespect Kevin Hart. I'll dunk on you, bro. You like 5'1". I don't care if it's Kevin Hart. I don't care if it's Dave Chappelle. I don't care if it's Eddie Murphy. You got people who are literally poor, will scrape up $250 to go and listen to Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, and have entertainment for one night. If I were you, no disrespect to Dave Chappelle, no disrespect for Kevin Hart, but you should not be going to invest that money if you're broke. You should not be investing that money if you're poor. What I would do with those $250 instead of going to Dave Chappelle, go to a business seminar. Instead of going to listen to Dave Chappelle, why don't you go and buy 10 hats at a wholesale price and go sell them at a retail price? See, you can sell enough hats, you can sell enough t-shirts, you can sell enough courses, you can sell enough training that you could take $250 and make yourself into a millionaire. Or you could take those $250 and just because your favorite comedian is coming to town, You're going to take your last $250 and go and listen to a comedian and laugh. Have a great night. But that great night will not impact your future. I took $20 out my pocket one day, and I took $20 of currency, and that money flowed back to me, pressed down, shaken together, running over, because this book helped me change my mindset as it related to making decisions and as it related to making money. I'm around millionaires every day. And let me tell you something, millionaires think differently. So if we can get you to think differently, I promise you, you will prosper financially, you will prosper in your relationships, you will make great decisions, and you will finally get some freedom. Because I'm telling you, I'm tired of you getting out of the bed, saying to yourself, oh God, let me get up, let me go to work, I don't want to be late, I can't stand them people. Now, if I'm talking to you, hear me clearly, that's your fault. And if we can just get you to understand that you can buy your future, maybe you're at that restaurant for 3 more months and then you're free. Maybe you're at that restaurant for 6 more months, but then you're 3. Maybe you got to put in that restaurant 1 more year until you're free. But I'm telling you, what we're doing here on this channel is freeing you up to have the right mindset and the right mentality to prosper. Write this down. The most important thing you need to do to prosper is to discover your gift. I'm going to say it one more time. The most important thing you can do to prosper is to discover your gift. What is God giving you to work with? There's some skill, there's some talent, there's some ability that God has given you that you can use to prosper. So if you want to be a millionaire, the first thing you have to do is to discover your gift. When I was a young man, sports came easy to me. I picked up a basketball, it was easy to me. I picked up a baseball, it was easy to me. I picked up a football, it was easy to me. It was easy for me. And almost instantly, I was one of the best kids in the neighborhood without trying. It was a gift. But once you discover a gift, that's not enough. There's a lot of talented ball players that never even played high school ball. There's not a lot of talented guys who never played college sports. There's a lot of guys who should have been NBA, NFL superstars and never did a thing, never left the block. Why? They discovered the gift, but they never developed the gift. So if you want to prosper, I want you to understand that you have to make great decisions with your money. Every decision you make with your money has got to add value to you, not today, not tomorrow, but 5 to 10 years from now. And if you can make those decisions, I promise you, your life will begin to transform. The second thing we have to do is to discover our gift. Because whatever God gave you as a gift is what you're going to use to attract money to you. I use sports to attract money to me because it was a gift. I had to discover the gift. I had to develop the gift. You guys know it took me 15 years to become an NBA ball player? It took me 15 years to play in the NBA. It took me 15 years to discover the gift. It took me 15 years to develop the gift. And once I discovered it and I developed it, I positioned it so the NBA could find me. Simple formula. The same formula will work for you. So 1, every decision you make has got to bless your life for the future. The second thing we have to do is to discover your gift. So you might be saying to yourself, well, Walter, how do I discover my gift? What comes easy to you? What can you do all day long? You never tire from it. You never fatigue from it. What do people look at you and say, man, you're so good at that? Man, you're just so talented. You're so gifted, man. I don't know what, man, you're really good with numbers. You guys know those people? Oh my God, my dude can count. I'm horrible with numbers. Let me tell you something. I've been around people, they can do math in their head like that. That's a gift. I know people who are creative and innovative. They can take one idea and make something incredible. You guys know some people who can really cook. I know some people who can really sing. And here's the truth. Just because you can sing doesn't mean you're going to be Beyonce. Because Beyonce discovered her gift. But guess what else she did? She developed her gift. And Beyonce positioned her gift. I've been to concerts. You guys probably know comedians funnier than Kevin Hart. You probably know comedians maybe funnier than Dave Chappelle. But just because they discovered the gift, they maybe never developed the gift, and they never positioned the gift. They made you laugh at lunchtime. Remember those kids? They were hilarious at lunchtime. They had you falling on the floor at lunchtime, but their jokes never left the lunchroom. Why? They discovered the gift, but they never developed the gift. They never positioned the gift. We know people who can cook. You eat their food, it's so good, you're going to smack yourself. And they discovered the gift, but they never developed the gift. They never positioned the gift, even though they love cooking. So my question is, the first thing is, what is your gift? What is God giving you to work with? And what are you doing to develop that gift? Are you going to seminars? Are you reading books? There are associations of manufacturers. There's associations of distributors. Trust me, I'm a Hall of Fame motivational speaker, and I learned a long time ago, literally, there's an association for everything. So if you discover your gift, the smart thing to do is to put yourself around people who have the same gift, so you can learn the industry that covets your gift. Does that make sense to everybody? So discover, develop, and position. For a long time, I broadcasted for the Minnesota Timberwolves. My gift was operating, but I did not like where my gift was positioned. The way I got paid as a broadcaster for the Minnesota Timberwolves was not how I saw my future. So my wife and I made a decision. We're going to pack up the gift and we're going to reposition this gift. You're going to still run your mouth, but we're going to position it differently. And we found the motivational speaking industry as a $13 billion industry. Same gift, just positioned differently. So I want you to think about your gift. What has God given you to prosper? How can you develop that gift more? But more importantly, how can you position that gift? And to position the gift simply says you got to solve some problems for other people. Can you solve problems for other people? If you become obsessed with your gift, developing your gift, and positioning your gift to solve problems for other people, trust me, money will find you, money will help and hunt you down. So we covered a lot. Let me review real quick. The first thing you have to do is understand your mindset. If you broke, it's your fault, which simply means every decision you're making is based on today, and you don't make decisions on your future. If you never make decisions on your future would never show up. Jacob made a sacrifice, a temporary sacrifice, which literally was 4 hours. He sacrificed one meal, and 4 hours later, he was the oldest, and he was in position to get the birthright from his father Isaac, which means he's a grandson of Abraham. Are you kidding me? Whoa! He made a simple sacrifice that put himself in a much better position. So poor people don't think right. And poor people are unwilling to make sacrifices. Can you give up doing your nails every month? I mean, can you give up getting your hair done every month? Can you give up all your fancy meals that you just gotta have? Can you give up alcohol for a month? I mean, think about that. If you took and made a sacrifice for your nails, and your clothes and your fancy car, even though you live in day-to-day check to check, and you take that money, you take that currency, and invest it in a way that you can become an expert in your industry, you can come back 5 years from now and buy every car you want. You can come back in 5 years and get your hair done the way you want. You can come back in 5 years and buy your nail salon. Does that make sense to everybody? The truth is that we have to make sacrifices to put ourselves in a better position. So after I read the book, Buy the Future, we started spending money differently. And I'm going to tell you, the future showed up pretty quickly. In 36 months, we were on a track of wealth, and we made some simple adjustments. If you look at a boat, it has a small rudder at the bottom, and it's a very small part of the boat. But if you change the rudder on the bottom of the boat, it changes the direction of the boat. A small degree of change can take your boat, your vessel, you in a totally different direction. So I want you to ask yourself the question, why are you making decisions day to day, check to check? We just talked about Esau. Stop being Esau. And I'm going to tell you that alone can make a difference. But now we can look at your gift. God gave you something to prosper. How can you take that gift, develop that gift, but most importantly, position that gift differently? And if you can position your gift to solve problems for other people, that's the greatest way to thrive in today's economy. Let's go back in the olden days. Imagine this. You wanted to make some bread. You had to grow the wheat. You had to cultivate the wheat. You had to grow the barley. You had to go and get the milk. You had to go and grow and produce everything yourself to go and make one loaf of bread. And so the way the economy evolved, that the local farmers got together and say, you know what, I'm going to specialize in wheat. And you know what? I'm going to provide wheat for everybody in town because everybody wants some bread, right? So I'm going to become the wheat guy. And the next guy says, you know what? I got a bunch of dairy cows. You know what? I'm going to become the dairy cow. So you provide all the wheat, and I'm going to provide all the milk. Cool? So everybody in town going to get wheat from you. Everybody in town going to get dairy from me. And the next guy says, you know what? I got some beef, but you know what? I'm not going to produce milk because you produce milk. I'm going to be the meat guy. And if you want some steak, if you want some brisket, if you want some lamb chops, everybody in town is going to come to me and they're going to buy the meat from me. You want some flowers? I'll be the flower guy, and so forth and so on. You need some teachers? I'll be the teachers. So everybody in the early economy were specialists. Hear me clearly. There's niches in riches. There's niches in riches. We're talking about a millionaire mindset. Let me tell you something. There's two things I can do. I can play ball and I can run my mouth. That's it. God gave me two things to work with. Those two talents got me a free college education, got me an 8-year professional basketball career, and those two talents made me a Hall of Fame motivational speaker too. Let me tell you something. LeBron got one. LeBron took one gift and became a billionaire. Michael Jordan took one gift, became a billionaire. Go and look at the NBA. Go and look at the NFL. Tom Brady, one gift, became a multimillionaire. Now he owns an NFL team. I got two gifts, thank the Lord, but you only need one. What's that one gift God gave you that if you cultivate it, develop it, and position it, that you can be well on your way to becoming a millionaire? So there's no reason for you to hate on Beyonce. There's no reason for you to hate on, Kentucky Fried Chicken, because Colonel Sanders started Kentucky Fried Chicken when he was like 60 years old. Some of y'all look at me and say, well, I'm too old. No, you're not. If Colonel Sanders can cultivate Kentucky Fried Chicken in his 60s, it's not too late for you. If Abraham can become the father of many nations, old in age, God is sending us all a message. It's never too late for you. So let's recap what we're talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the mindset of a millionaire. The first thing we have to do is buy the future. By making great decisions, that's going to impact your future, not today. The second thing we have to understand God gave us a gift. And it's up to us to develop the gift. It's up to us to position the gift. It's up to us to make sure that we develop that gift. And we can do those three things, guys. I'm telling you, resources are going to start coming in. So imagine this. You're making good decisions with your money. You have a gift that's helping solve problems for other people. Before you know it, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you have bought your future with some small, simple adjustments. So here's what I want to do right now. I want to open up the floor to some Q&A. Are there any questions in this audience today that I can answer, that we can clarify, that maybe I didn't cover, that can position you to be a millionaire? Because I'm telling you, me and my wife got into agreement on money, and now we don't make decisions based on the day. We make decisions based on the future, which means we invest in real estate. We invest in companies. And let me tell you something else we do. We discovered our gift, we developed our gift, and we positioned our gift. And now we coach and consult multimillionaires and billionaires around the world on how to grow a company. And I'm telling you, over time, it's just a matter of time for our clients who listen, follow directions, and execute, prosper, because entrepreneurs, if you're not careful, you can run your business like Esau. You're not thinking about where you want to be, in 5 years. You're thinking about where you want to be tomorrow, where you want to be next month. And that's a dangerous place to be, because Esau's life never changed. Esau's life never improved, but Jacob's life improved incredibly, simply because he negotiated his future and he made decisions based on where he wanted to be and not where he was. So Jacob repositioned himself by simply using biblical principles of the future. I was able, by reading this $20 book, to transform from being Esau into a Jacob. So this $1 million hour is my give back to the world. That I want to work with you once a week, every week. And all we're going to talk about is how to transform your thinking so you can start thinking like a millionaire. A millionaire's not smarter than you. Trust me. They're just making better decisions because they know where they want to be in 5 years. They know where they want to be in 10 years. They know where they want to be in 20 years. I am 56 years old and time flies. And I know if you look around this room, everybody in this room, you remember when you were in kindergarten. You remember when you were in high school. You remember when you could wear smaller clothes. Now, we look in our closets and say, ooh, I can't wear that anymore. Why? I outgrew it. So here's what I want to do. I want to open up the floor to some questions, some comments, some feedback. Let's have a real conversation around a millionaire mindset, because I'm telling you one thing. God delights in the prosperity of his servant. And I came here today to serve you. I don't care where you are in the world. I don't care who you've been listening to in the past. This program, Millionaire Hour, is all about me teaching you what I've learned through my life and help you transform from living day to day, check to check, broke. I've been there myself. I hated it. It sucked. But now my life is totally different, simply because I understand currency is meant to flow through you and not to you. Any questions out in the audience that we can have?
So you got the right mindset. How do you fit that into different pivots that come with being an entrepreneur and life and family? Any suggestions there?
Yeah, first thing you have to do is build a team. The first thing you have to do to build a team. God showed us years ago, he had Adam by himself. And he said it's not good for man to be alone. Now let's talk about that. It's not good for man to be alone. It's not good for woman to be alone. God has built this world for us to need each other. We're completely codependent. In fact, if you don't believe me, go and try and make a loaf of bread by yourself. I hear people say that all the time. I don't need nobody. You are a fool if you think you can. You cannot make a loaf of bread by yourself. Because the first thing you have to do is go to a grocery store, which means you need people. You need companies who made the wheat. You need companies who made the milk. You can do nothing by yourself. So the first thing we have to do is understand the power of people. Successful people know a lot of people. Successful people know a lot of people. So to me, if you're going to grow a business, the first thing you have to do is build a team. And maybe that first teammate is the most important teammate. I'm very thankful. My wife is my business partner. I have a great teammate that I live with, and she has a motivated interest to work just as hard as me, because her future is connected to my future. So we work together in harmony as teammates going into the future. So the first thing we have to do is to build an amazing team. And that might just be one person to start with. And I tell all of our entrepreneurs we coach, your most important hire is your first hire. There's no other hire more important than your first hire. If you screw up that first hire, you have done yourself some serious damage. But if you nail that first hire, you position yourself to grow, because we all have different abilities. We all have different talents. So for example, I'm innovative and creative, and so is my wife, but she knows how to take an idea and drive it. So together, that's a great combination. That's a great team. And we don't compete with each other. We complete each other. So if my first question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is your team currently?
Got a similar wife who's a lawyer, but the team, as far as my company, that's a big challenge. I got 2 consultants that work with me, but no full-time employees yet.
You need to manage others' efforts.
Sure.
Wealthy people manage other efforts. Let me give you something that I want you to never forget. Only do that which only you can do. If somebody else can do it, delegate it. Only do that which only you can do. Here's the truth, if an employee is given the right task, they're basically free. If the employee is given the right task that generates revenue, they're basically a free employee. Why? Because the way corporate America works, you produce $1 million and I pay you a fraction, right? So if you give an employee the right responsibility, they're basically free, because whatever they're positioned to do, they're going to create so much revenue that they pay for themselves and then some. That makes sense. So how can we position you to build a better team? What's the most important thing you need on your team that's going to add value and can be, watch this, weight bearing?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I started off with a retail company and pivoted to franchise. Retail, I had employees. The franchise piece of it, I need somebody in operations. I'm not an operations guy at all, and that's what franchising is. I'm more the marketer, the founder, the talker, connector. So I need somebody that can put the logistics together.
Okay, I agree. You know, you need what we call an innovator and an initiator. We have a teamwork methodology called Work Expressions, and it's a brilliant one. I'm an innovator. My wife's the initiator. You're the innovator. So you need an initiator, which is typically called the COO. There's nothing else you can do until you find one, or maybe you can do it yourself.
No, thank you.
Does your wife have the ability to be an operator or an initiator? But she's a full-time lawyer.
Yeah, she got a little stuff going on. No, I need that. I know I do. It's just in the evolution of what a company is at, it's tough.
So how can you recruit, develop, and retain the perfect COO?
Maybe fractional or something.
You can call it. That's why you should join the International Franchise Association. That's why you should go to their conference, because there's a bunch of franchise people walking around that are experienced in retail, merchandise, manufacturing, that are looking for an opportunity that might be a promotion for them to operate at a whole nother level. So if you know what you lack, you got to go and find it and build your team. Or you can talk about this for the next 5 years. You can talk about this for the next 10 years. Smart business people make their problems go away. I'm going to say that again. So think about buying your future. If the most important thing for you is to find a COO, think about where you want to be 10 years from now, 5 years from now, and be willing to make a sacrifice in order to find the perfect COO that can help take your business to the next level based on the vision that you have in the next 5 years or the next 10 years.